See Beneath Your Beautiful podcast is raw and intimate, sometimes funny, and always entertaining. With new episodes every Saturday, Hara explores our loves, fears, and hopes with a delicious combination of depth and lightness. Today we interview Jen Evans. Jen, will you introduce yourself?
I'm Jennifer Evans. I have an event planning company called Events by Jennifer Evans. I'm a mom of three and three bonus now. We're officially the Brady Bunch with now being married to my husband, Pat Simmons.
That's awesome. I think it's awesome because I shared an office with you and you really just allowed yourself you just settled.
I am pretty sure you've said that to me before.
Do you think that's true? It's okay if you don't agree with me.
I don't know. I just see it differently.
Oh, tell me.
I don't think you're wrong. I don't think you're wrong at all.
I want to know your point of view.
I think what I'm having a hard time separating out is the settling versus just admitting that even though there was some settling there, that there was also some really great connections that I miss so much. So, yeah.
Oh, I know that there was love there, even though it wasn't the right person. Maybe it's just that. It just wasn't the right person, even though there was love on both sides. Is that what it was?
Very much so. I think that's a perfect way to say it. And I had to remind myself of that recently. You know, sometimes you go backwards and you're rehashing stories and what happens. And I was going back to, no, I very clearly got the message from God, the universe, for me, God, that went, it's time to just end this.
Yeah.
And when I go back to that, there's no way you can have hurt feelings, sadness, whatever. We're all right where we're supposed to be.
Oh, I thank goodness that some relationships didn't work out so that I could be in this one. a lot of them, all of them.
Right.
I'm so glad all of them didn't work out so I could be in this one.
Right.
How long have I known you? When were we in Launchpad in that building? 12 years ago, maybe?
Gosh, I go by Xander. Xander's kind of my gauge for it all. He was 2 or 3 when I started with Launchpad. He's almost 15.
Oh, yeah. 12 or 13 years. Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot has happened. And I haven't known you married in all that time. So,
oh, that's funny.
And I was single for 13 years myself before I met Philip. I haven't seen you in a while. So tell me about what's going on with your life right now. I don't know how Pat was a friend of yours, right? A family friend, or tell me things I don't know. Fill me in like I'm your girlfriend.
Like you are?
Yeah. Pretend I'm your friend.
Maddie is my oldest and Dane is his oldest stepson.
Okay.
And Maddie and Dane started dating in 8th grade after a trip to Washington, D.C. They went to different middle schools and to different high schools, but their schools came together. And within this giant group of middle schoolers, my daughter has a Montessori background and so did Dane. And somehow all the Montessori kids on this trip found each other. And they just became fast friends. And Maddie came home giddy. And it's funny because Dane's mom says he came home and she's like, you met a girl, didn't you? It was just written all over them. So that was a really fun and kind of a weird journey. On Maddie's 16th birthday, we were visiting with friends. And so Dane's mom and stepdad are Pat and Lisa. And it was Maddie's 16th birthday and it was also homecoming. And we all got together at a mutual friend's house. The kids all got ready for homecoming and met there with their dates and then went to school to the dance. And when we were talking, I realized that this other couple that was there, they were high school sweethearts. And I said, what? Does that really even happen? And they told us their story. And in that moment, I knew Maddie and Dane would probably be together forever. I just had that feeling, but I also knew there had to be a breakup. Well, our families were really close. We traveled together. We went on a cruise together. So our families were just close like that. So the oldest of all of the kids, 3 on my side, 3 on theirs, Maddie and Dane were dating. Allie and Sam are the same age. And Dylan and Alexander are the same age.
Oh, cool.
So they all were fun, hanging out, friends. And yeah, this went really well. So when the news came down that Pat and Lisa were splitting, I bawled. I was so sad. Like, what could we do to fix this? Like, they were a staple in our world. And so in the years leading up to that, Pat has what he calls his responsible day job, but his irresponsible night job is playing music. I started hiring him for events because he's the Cronkite. So started hiring him for events. And then one day, oddly enough, in the house I'm in now, I was picking up my daughter and they invited me in and we were talking, and he had just gone to auctioneer college and said, I really want to start doing some auctions. So I started hiring for fundraising auctions. And so we had a really solid working relationship in addition to a friendship. And then, yeah, sadly, when he and his wife decided to split, that was just rough. And there was some events that we were all doing together around that time. And he just really felt accepted by my whole friend group. So at the time we were doing the NABO event, it was one of the wine events, and he came and everybody could just tell something wasn't quite right. And he was like, gosh, you guys just get me. So shortly after they split up and he moved out, he just started spending more time with our friend group, and it started growing into something else pretty quickly. I felt it, but I didn't want to admit it because it seemed so wrong. Mm-hmm. And he didn't care. he was quick to say, no, I have feelings and I think we might have something here. And I said it was awkward, and he was pressing and I wasn't comfortable with it. And so we stopped talking for 3 months.
Oh, I didn't know that part.
Yeah. Yeah. Just completely distance ourselves. So there was no being uncomfortable there. It just didn't feel right to be considering dating somebody who I knew their ex-wife. So yeah. And then after about 3 months, I think he texted to say happy birthday to Sam or happy New Year's Eve, the same day. And yeah, we just started talking again. And oh gosh, yeah, that's another fun story too.
Tell me.
We were both dating people when we started talking again. And so it really was nothing. Mm-hmm. And then I asked him for advice one day because the person I was dating, you talk about settling, it was not going well. And I didn't know it wasn't going well. And I texted him and said, can I ask you a question? I said, I could really use your advice. Well, he called and I instantly started crying. The person I had been dating, no matter what I said or did, never once did that person pick up the phone and call. Everything was texting or, the occasional get together. And I just started bawling. I'm like, that's why it doesn't feel right. Mm-hmm. And I explained that to him and he said, hey, I'm nobody to judge, but it just doesn't sound right. And I think I broke up with him that day. Once again, my friends rescue me.
It's hard to see it when you're in it. That's for sure.
Yeah. It was clearly escalating to a point where I was uncomfortable. But once that hit me, I knew it was wrong. And in fact, gosh, it was within days, if truly it wasn't the same day. I can't exactly remember how it all fell apart from there. Gosh, it really might have been that very same day. I moved quickly. I went to Coeur d'Alene with my friend and we had a great time. And then at the end of the night, we went to a 40th birthday party for my son's dad. And my friend and I got in an argument and I made her leave me there. And I said, I'll find my own ride home. Mind you, it was in Idaho and I'm not. So I thought this is going to be the most expensive Uber of my life because I was being stubborn. And at the same time, the person I had been dating and had broken up with texted me and said, are you good? Do you need a ride home? And I said, no. And then Pat checked in and said, hey, how's your night going? Hope you had a good time. I know you were upset this morning. And I said, it's good, but now I have a new problem. And he had just gotten home from a gig, so it was late, but he was just finishing playing. He drove the, whatever it was, 40 minutes to come out there and picked me up and drove me back home. I was tired. At the time I was sick and I didn't know it and had this horrible headache. And I just sat there in the car ride home, complete silence. He made sure I got in okay. He sat down on the side of my bed. I fell asleep and he let himself out. And that was when I went, something's going on here. And I can't deny it anymore. So yeah, that was in January. So there are a few more hangouts like that with kids, without kids. My kids figured it out pretty quick. His did not.
It was a rude awakening. Well, they had their mother to consider, I guess. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah. So Dane especially was really against the whole thing. He really, really struggled with it for a long time. It really wasn't that many months later that my lease was up at the house I was renting. And we were trying to figure out what to do. And he was like, I'm really serious about us. And I see this going somewhere. And whether it's short term or long term, I really think you guys should consider coming to stay with me. So yeah, we did that. I think it was 7 months later. And the kids broke up when we moved in together. That was terribly awful and awkward. Thankfully, they were in college and had things to do, but it was so weird. Bad timing.
Are they back together?
They were apart for about 8 months. And at our wedding, they reconnected for the first time. And her boyfriend that she had at the time was there. And she spent more time with Dane than she did that boyfriend. And everybody was talking about it at the wedding.
That's funny.
It didn't take long that she had one of those moments where this person just doesn't want to connect with me. And I feel like I always connected better with Dane. Anyhow, COVID hit. We were all stuck in our homes. She couldn't see her boyfriend. He worked at a grocery store. And I was like, there is no way I'm letting you see someone who's getting that much exposure. Mm-hmm. So anyhow, they ended up breaking up for their own reasons. And then since Dane is family, in quotes, he was able to come visit because, he was either at our house or his mom's house. And we already had his brother going back and forth. So yeah, it didn't take long before they were back together. And
your kids are together and you guys are together. That's kind of cute. So how long have you been married now?
He could probably tell you to the day. I'm terrible with numbers.
My husband too.
So it's been 16 months, 16 whole months.
Is it not the fairy tale that you want? You were just mentioned to me that, you like bad boys.
Yes.
And so is Pat too nice?
Pat is so nice. And I know I have to be careful, and not for him. He'll say, I'm not that nice. I know that when we were first starting to date and I was in the whole resistance thing, and it was a text and I could still hear his voice when I said it. I said, you are so nice. I feel like I would just rip you to shreds. And he goes, I am nice. You should explore that. And I went, oh, that was good. that was kind of a bad boy thing out of a nice guy.
Yeah.
And I went, wow, he was pretty firm about it. And so
that is good.
It was, and I look at him, I knew him socially, but I knew him at work, and he is incredibly confident as a musician, as an auctioneer. Like, he bosses the band around, he is the guy they look to. And then he's just so nice that it just leaves a control freak like me to be in charge. And I feel like I'm constantly the one giving direction, making choices. And he sees that as, hey, go ahead. I want you to have those things. And I just feel like I become too much of an alpha.
I see.
It worries me. He's perfectly happy with everything. So I have to be careful. And in fact, when we were first dating, a friend of mine and I were talking. She and her husband were there. And I don't know what I said. And she said, does he love you more than you love him? And it was like, how do you answer that question? And she said, let me put it this way. I love my husband more than he loves me. And I've known it my whole existence. And she said, all I'm going to say to you is be so good to his heart. He loves you so much. And it was like, oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. What do you think you want? I mean, are you happy though? But you just wish maybe he would take more control?
Yeah, it helps. We went to a counselor for a while, being newly married, and the jokes were like, oh, COVID is for honeymooners. Yeah, right. Not when you have 6 kids in the house and everything else that's going on. Give me a break. So no, it was not for us.
It was so stressful anyway. I was like, are we going to die every day? So I don't think it was romantic at all.
Just so weird. So that pressure of the newlywedness, our differences by, I don't know, I guess it was right around the year mark. I was like, maybe we should talk to a counselor. I don't know what's normal and what's not. And so we talked through some of that. And, some of that's on me. I have to let him lead more. But she gave some practical advice, things like choose areas where he will be in charge. And so that's been really helpful. One of the things that stresses me out more than anything else is finances. And so to be able to say, I need you to run this space. And especially because of COVID and being in the events industry, I was looking at a pretty big deficit again, and grants are over. And so he was like, hey, let's try this. And so he came up with some ideas and managed those on his own. And that was really, really, really good for us.
That's awesome. What's different about your life now from 12 years ago? Like you were single for so long and the single mom. What's it like now being the Brady Bunch and having kids off and tall little boys that aren't little anymore?
Yes, taller than me. I want to say it's so much easier. And in so many ways it is. But then I go, why do I still get stressed then? Because I should be like living, I am living the dream. This is so much easier. And it's fun. I like having adult children. It's fun to have my kids a similar age to what yours were when we were rooming together. I love this age of my girls, but they're both they're not coming home this summer. They're not going to live here anymore. So this will be the first time I've really ever had them gone, both gone. Dane's moving away. He took a job in Salem, Oregon. Allie's totally on her own. So I've never had a parenting plan. I've always been the parent to my kids.
Yeah.
It's just weird. And Xander has a great relationship again with his dad. And so he's back on an every other weekend schedule. And it's like, whoa, hold on. This is kind of cool. But that does get exciting because we will have some time to ourselves. In fact, now Thursdays will be date night for us. And tonight's the first night in a while that we don't have anybody at home because Maddie's out of town. And that'll be good for us. And that was the other thing that we learned is sometimes when he and I aren't connecting the way, well, probably either of us wants, but I know for sure that he wants, and his mind starts to wonder and worry. One of the things that our counselor helped him see was, well, what was it like when you went on vacation? We went to Hawaii a few months ago. And he was like, there were no problems. Everything was great. We were connecting. And she said, so is this a relationship problem or more of a circumstance problem? And he was like, oh, yeah, when you take the kids and the stressors and work and all of that out of the mix, we're just fine.
Exactly. How is the event business?
It's good. We made I can't even say I made the choice. I had 2 clients when this first happened who said their May 2020 events were going to happen no matter what. And so that forced us to learn digital for trade shows and digital for fundraisers. And there's no looking back. Like I'm forever changed because of those events.
Meaning what?
Being able to do digital events. It's just, you can pull together. In fact, I'm on day 2 of a 3-day digital event for the newspaper industry. So we're working with clients all over the country, 255 people. I never would have had access to something like this before. I've done events since COVID hit in New Jersey, New Mexico. This one's all over. It's a wild thing to be doing that. And then, worked with a local media company who built an auction platform for fundraising software and now still helping them to make that a replacement to some of the existing software that's out there, because some people will never go back to live events. We just did one together a few weeks ago. And she was like, there's no way I'll ever do a live event again. It's so much easier to do this, get our business done and be done in an hour for my guests. I love it. I don't know. I realize I am far more of an introvert than I ever thought I was. And now I struggle. Yeah. I really struggle sometimes getting out of the house and making plans. And, some people want to go back to normal. I don't ever want to go back to how busy we were. Unfortunately, Pat's super busy. It's like he likes playing music or something. He's booked like 3 to 5 nights a week. So he's just going crazy playing music.
Oh, is that good though? He loves it?
It's good. He loves it. It's weird for me because, and he didn't know this. We actually, again, one of the things we talked through with our counselor, I feel bad when I don't go hear him play. And he was like, I wouldn't go hear me play all that time either. And he was funny about it, but I know he gets disappointed and I know he enjoys when I'm there. And I talked about having a lot of guilt around it. And of course, that's just one of my traits. But also when we talked about it with somebody else, it brought out more. And what's hard is that a lot of our friends will go listen to him. And so I'll be getting text messages from him on stage, from them saying, why aren't you here? And it's like, I can't keep up with that schedule. And especially now after COVID, like I don't want to either. I don't want to give up that many nights of my life. He gets it. Yeah. So that's good.
So you've become more of an introvert. You've become more of a homebody. What else has changed for you? I mean, can it be a positive thing that you're enjoying your home life instead of, I don't want to go out? This is a good spot for me. I'm safe and happy here.
Yeah. And the truth is, Actually, Pat and I were laughing. So when he and I got together, since we were both living fully independent lives, we had to make a decision. Did we want to save money and, moving in together, or do we want to reinvest that income so that we didn't just put it towards nothing? So that's why we ended up buying a lake house. And that was a miracle in itself that came together, but it did. So we have that place, but we were sitting out on our deck last weekend and we're talking about the birds. And I went, when did we get to the age that we talk about birds? But that's a big part of it. Like, because of COVID and everything slowed down enough, I started gardening.
Oh, nice.
And we do watch the birds, and we have birds that nest right outside our window here at this house. And we love it. Like, I think today the birdies are flying, the babies are flying from the nest, and we're all excited about it, talking and texting about it. So no, I'd rather stay home and sit on the porch and watch the baby birds get fed than do a whole lot of other things.
I do remember when we shared an office, you wanted a house and you fell through or something. I mean, and now you have a lake house. Come on.
What happened? Everything. Right? When Xander was about a year old, I was at a Tony Robbins event, and he has you do a lot of visualization and imagining your next best life. And I had a vision of my whole family jumping into water, holding hands. And I thought maybe it was a pool, and, current circumstances had me envisioning a house out in the valley and my family. And then on Friday, it was Pat's birthday, and we were out on the dock at the beach by our place. And he said, all I want for my birthday is for all of you to jump in. And I said, at the same time, how are we doing this? And we laughed. I said, let's hold hands. And I went, oh, and as I jumped in the water, it was like, that's the moment. That is that moment I always dreamed of.
So good.
So cool. It was really good. It was so fun. It's satisfying to have all those things. 20 something years ago, we were lured into moving to Spokane because our friends told us if we moved here that we would have a lake place and we'd ski all the time. And it's not until the last 2 or 3 years that all of those things came together.
I love that. Your dreams came true. You just didn't know exactly what that would look like. And it's not exactly the way you imagined, right?
Yes. Yeah. It's that. You always help me see things better. I appreciate that about you.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, it's good. When my first marriage fell apart, and I don't know how, somehow I became this spokesperson for healthy divorce. I used to tell people, it's so normal. It's so boring. I could not wait to have a normal and boring life again. And I think I went through a phase where I didn't want that. And now I realize every once in a while, oh yeah, I'm back to normal and boring, but it's not boring.
My kids call me a sky pusher. I'm like, did you see the sky? Did you see the clouds? Did you see the sunset? Like, oh my gosh, you're missing it. And so I think noticing the birds is a real, real beautiful thing, that you're not missing it.
I love that. A sky pusher.
Well, especially a rainbow. How many rainbows have I seen in my 53 years? Maybe a handful. I'm going to go find the end of that rainbow.
So awesome. Do you have a book that has changed your life in any way, or that you recommend to people, or that you love, or an author that you love?
100%. Brene Brown.
Any book in particular?
It's a tough choice, but I have to say Rising Strong, especially in the time that I got it. It was kind of at the end of that climb. I was finally getting everything figured out, and it was so validating. I love everything about her, from the TED Talks to the books, and I just want to be her best friend.
Mm-hmm. Why does she resonate with you so much? What does she say that you really get?
She has that masculine energy too, and is a leader, and is just so funny. So I like the way she delivers her topics. It's funny because she talks about vulnerability, but she's still this super confident, sometimes tough person. And I'm like, oh, but you can combine all that. She just has this no bullshit approach to everything. Like, she will call you out on your stuff. And I just love that. I love it. And also, she calls out the people who are trying to take away your strength, and don't let people talk to you like that. There's one phrase that I always think of, or word, I should say, that I think of, and it's because of her. And I have to pay attention to my hustle. And I do not have to hustle for anybody's attention, for them to like me, for them to approve. And if I catch myself hustling, I'm probably in a situation I shouldn't be in, be it a friendship, a client relationship. I don't need to be like, woo, look at me, I'm good. No, if I find myself
feeling really uncomfortable and that I have to do extra or different, then I am in the wrong place. And that's all her.
Yeah. I have a funny example of that I did once. I play tennis and there was these ladies chatting at the net and I wanted to be their friend. And one girl said something and I overlaughed. I was so grossed out by myself. She probably didn't notice, but I still am grossed out at the image of me like trying so hard.
I've caught myself using language I would never use. And not like foul language, but like that's so rad arena where, somebody is a little bit younger than me and talks all cool and brings up my old, 80s California language. And I'm like, why am I talking like this? And that's embarrassing. Yeah. Yep.
It's so hard trying to fit in.
Oh God, isn't that funny?
I think I'm at an age finally where I'm like, you like me or you don't like me. And the people who do like me are supposed to. And the people who don't are not supposed to. That's good. Finally got there.
I'm getting there. My 50th is this year. And all of a sudden, all these things people have said to me my whole life are starting to make sense. A lot of what you're saying right now and pretty close to the art of not giving a fuck. So, yeah.
I heard women say that 50 is so great. You stop caring. And I never really believed them. I figured, they're over 50. They have to say it. But it's really true. Over 50 is really great. I mean, it has been for me. You really do just sort of get over yourself.
So much better.
A little bit more. I mean, I don't know if it's the number, but for some reason, 50s do feel really good. And it's not just because I am there and I have to say it.
I believe it. I just feel it's all kind of on the rise. And again, coming off of COVID and already having started to make changes. And yeah, it's good. It's so good to be more in control and simplifying and figuring out what's important.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I'm really proud of you for going to counseling instead of just trying to all figure it out, because sometimes we just cannot see what the heck.
It was really helpful. It's probably one of the best decisions we've made together and just gave us really good tools. Seeing it from somebody else's perspective, she would kind of laugh with us. She's like, sometimes I just kind of wonder why you're here. I'm like, all the problems. Oh, this is pretty minor, isn't it? So.
That's cute. That's good. What's your future look like? What do you see for yourself like in 5 years?
I have no idea. That's so funny. I'm enjoying the consulting side of events, not so much doing every bit of every event.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd like to keep relatively small with the events that I'm doing start to finish. I want to do more consulting on events. And then I really want to get some video content done. In fact, I've been working with 2 places, ILF Media. And then I was working with somebody who was guiding me on how to put that content online. So just figuring out some of that. I think it would be nice to get some of that going and coaching people in a different way. I don't want to hire anymore. I learned a phrase from John Mellencamp, stay small and do great things. And that's what I want to do. And I like working from home. It was so hard to move out of our office and I love it now. I don't want to go back to an office. I don't want a ton of meetings running around town. I really like having control of my schedule.
Yeah, I even have a photo studio in this space and I always want a photo studio, but I'm like, also, I really like people coming and then going and I'm still here. It's nice to be home. Yeah.
That's good. That's so good.
Yeah. Oh, Xander's 13, you said? 15.
He's going to turn 15. Driving school, I know.
Wow.
But he's ready.
So in 5 years, he's going to be 20, which is hard to even picture.
I know. The boys just both finished 8th grade. So in 4 years, that's a great question. And that's something that Pat and I need to talk more about because we've had ideas, but in this market, those ideas are now gone. Like, do we want to just move to the Lake Place and get rid of this? We always said we wanted to live in Kendall Yards. I will not be able to afford Kendall Yards in 4 years. So I don't know. We both really like an urban lifestyle.
Yeah.
So I don't know. We've got to figure that out.
Don't you think the market has to even itself out? It's just ridiculous right now.
I sure hope so. This is literally stupid. Like,
it's so stupid.
Absolutely crazy. And it makes me want to, even now, like he has so much equity in this house. It's like, gosh, let's sell it. It's like, no, what would we do?
Where are you going to go?
Like,
right. That's it. We keep saying the same thing. Yeah.
Capitalize on it. But yeah, I don't think that's going to happen.
Then you have to go buy something for the same amount. Yeah, it's nuts. I don't understand how people are even buying right now.
I don't either. I truly don't understand how they're doing it or why. I just wouldn't.
Right. That's what I told Philip. I've been here 14 years and I'm a little, I guess, just stir crazy, like I'm ready for change. But we're just going to have to just settle in. Same thing. We have a 5-year plan because Orion's just turning 13. And so he'll be 18 and then we'll figure it out. Like, let's just pay off our debt. Let's get debt free, those kind of things. Let's worry about the things we can control.
Yes. And that's been fun too. I love watching us pay everything down.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually kind of a miracle considering last year at this time, I didn't know if I was going to have food on the table in a couple of weeks. So yeah, we've been really careful about taking any extra money, especially once his band income came back and he just puts that towards debt constantly. Yeah. Those are the things that are fun in life at 49.
Exactly. You know how I knew I was old? I got all black suede hangers once and I was so happy.
Me, I got a giant box on Amazon and I was so happy.
Isn't it so nice having a sea of black suede hangers?
It is. It is good stuff.
It's good stuff. That's how you know you're old. We're talking about hangers. Not drunken parties, right?
Wow. So exciting.
We don't even want to go out. You were asleep at 7 the other night. This has been really fun catching up. It's been so long. You have a fairy tale ending. It's just not exactly what you expected. That's what I think.
I think you're 100% right. It is good. It is so good.
Yeah, good. Thanks so much. I love you. Talk to you soon.
Bye, Hera. Love you.
Bye.